This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Saturday, January the 15th. Race number 8 at Oaklawn Park. Let's throw up the field for the 5th season stakes. $150,000 is the purse. 3 millionaires in this field, and you can download free Formulator Pass performances on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. When you've made your final determinations, you can play this race and the entire Saturday card at Oaklawn with your DRF Bets account. The return of the 5 Concert Tour. Mike, the winner of last year's Rebel, we have not seen this horse since the Preakness. Long layoff, facing older horses and some good ones for the first time.
Yeah, not an easy spot for this horse to return from a long layoff here. He also gets the trainer change away from Bob Baffert here. He'll start for Brad Cox. I guess that's not really a negative, Dan. At the end of the day, he's just still a horse who has an awful lot to prove. He's facing a really tough field here. You know, they made him the morning line favorite, Dan. I personally don't think he's going to go favorite in here. If he does, he's a bet against.
Interesting from a pace standpoint, we have a horse stretching out for the first time, and he's been around for a while. Taking a look at the Timeform US pace projector, Mucho, the number 9, is going to try two-turn racing here. But Thomas Shelby, even though he did sit off a horse and run well last time out behind noted long-distance runner Lone Rock, he's best when he's on the lead, and I would have to think he's going to take advantage of the inside post under David Cohen.
Yeah, Thomas Shelby's got to go from the rail. I do expect Mucho to go forward as well from his outside post. I think maybe in some ways, Dan, the key to the pace, could be that morning line favorite Concert Tour, because I do think he's going to show speed as well. We'll see how fast they go.
And he did show speed at Oaklawn Park last year. Blinkers off for his first time back. Let's watch Thomas Shelby's most recent race. This coming on the heels of a 3-race winning streak. They stepped him up into stakes competition in the Tinsel Stakes, and he worked out a pretty good trip, I thought. He prompted a moderate pace, took over on the far turn. He's got the lead here. Gave up the inside to Lone Rock. Lone Rock is the odds-on favorite in this race, and the favorite in this race. He just skims the rail and beats Thomas Shelby. Good effort for Thomas Shelby. Should be a pace presence. Don't mind him turning back to a mile, but you kind of know this horse. He likes Saratoga a lot. He was a 14,000 claimer for Wesley Ward at Saratoga. Deodoro got him to win for 80 at Saratoga over the summer. Is he really a stakes horse against this kind?
I mean, it seems like, in his current form, I think he is. His last, several races are all very good, Dan. So I'm not going to sit here and knock this horse. He's got a good post. He's got speed from the inside. I think all those things are positive. He won 7 out of his last 10 starts. He's got plenty of figures that suggest he's a contender in here. To me, it all comes down to price with him. I think the 5-1 morning line is very fair. I just wonder if you're actually going to get that.
Rated R Superstar, Death, Taxes, and Rated R Superstar at Oaklawn. He's 9 years old. He's going to be making his 57th trip to the post, and he's been a hard hitter for a long time. And he actually got in really good form towards the end of last year. Let's watch his most recent race at Remington Park. I think he was compromised by a short field and a lack of pace. Rated R Superstar is more of a one-run closing type. We see Rated R Superstar edge up to the leader here, and he just isn't able to seal the deal. Now, he was listed as a vet scratch on October the 6th. This race was on September the 11th, so he's coming off a long layoff.
Yeah, he's starting back off of a layoff here. We'll see if he needs one off the break. I'll suspect he's going to come back and run pretty well, Dan. I think maybe some people will look at that race we just watched right there and say he hung a little bit in the stretch. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for that race. There was just a lot working against him there. Only 3 others in the field. He's last off of a slow pace and just had to make an early move in that race. I thought he ran fine. And I really liked his win 2 starts back. I think he's going to catch some pace to run at here, Dan. I think he's very dangerous.
5th season, just missed in a division of this race back in 2020. He's good on dirt. He's good on turf. You can understand why they gave him a shot on a synthetic surface last time out. Probably not his best, but he's getting back to a good surface here, and we see Steve Asmussen's done good work with these kind of horses. Take a look at our formulator fact over the past 700 days or so. 4-year-olds and older moving from synthetic to dirt, 40% winners, 346 ROI. This horse has good tactical speed, and I would just draw a line through that last race, and you probably draw a line through the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile as well.
Yeah, certainly you could make excuses for his last 2 starts. Overall, this horse is just rock solid. It seems like the mile might be his best distance on either surface, Dan. Certainly he handles it well on the main track. To me, it all comes down to price with Snapper Sinclair. I think he's going to get a good trip in here, and I think he can win. He's just the kind of horse, though, that I like to bet when he's bigger prices, and I like to avoid when he's shorter prices.
Necker Island is up next. This is a really interesting stretch out. He won two sprint races towards the end of last year, and then he ran in a stake class time out at the fairgrounds that produced three next out winners, including the winner, a nice horse on any surface. That's Just Might, who came back to win a stake on the turf at the fairgrounds with a 102 buyer. This horse has done well around a one-turn mile, has performed well around two turns. I think the distance is within his scope, and he's in sneaky form.
I think the distance is within his scope too. I guess the question would be whether you worry about him around two turns or not. He's won 5 races in his life, 3 sprints, and he's won 2 one-turn miles at Churchill Downs. Both of those one-turn miles by very narrow margins, Dan. So we'll see if he handles the 2-turn configuration. If he does, he just seems like a pretty logical horse in here, and I think you're going to do better than 9-2. I'd be surprised if he was that short a price.
Here's Concert Tour, the number 5. Looked good to kick off his career. Won 3 races in a row, including the Rebel. He was beaten as the heavy favorite in the Arkansas Derby, however, and it was kind of weird that Baffert didn't press on to the Derby. He went into the Preakness. He took some money that day. He didn't run very well, and now he's been away for a long, long time. Brad Cox certainly knows what he's doing. Blinkers off. Again, this horse did very well last year at Oaklawn. I think he made a good point about his tactical speed, allowing him to work out a good trip.
Yeah, he should be forward in this race. We'll see if they try to make the lead with him. I thought the interesting thing about his Arkansas Derby, Dan, is that they really didn't try for the lead that day. And then I guess he just didn't get the distance at the end of the day there. He got very tired at the end of that race. His Preakness was a total disaster. I was never sold on this horse last year. I wasn't impressed with his Rebel all that much, even though that was an easy sort of in-hand victory. I really didn't like his San Vicente win at all. I don't know. I guess he could win this race. I would never bet him.
Mr. Lucas sends out the 6, Atoka, late blooming son of Union Rags. Let's watch his most recent race earlier in the Oaklawn meet, his final start as a 4-year-old. We see Atoka on the outside. He's not going to be able to get there. Caddo River is going to finish first in this race. Caddo River, of course, was second in the Arkansas Derby last year, I believe, after winning the Smarty Jones, but he got bumped a little bit, did Atoka, and he eventually gets placed first via disqualification.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he ran fine in that race. I don't think a repeat of that effort is going to get it done against this field. This is a really, really tough field. He does have a couple of races, though, from, just not that long ago, Dan, towards the end of last year that sort of signaled that he was rounding into form, and maybe he can take another step forward.
Long Range Toddy won a division of the Rebel back in 2019. Really hasn't improved much since that effort. Willing to forgive his last race. I think 6 furlongs is just sharp, and they've been trying to turn him into a little bit of a late-running sprinter. I don't think the muddy track really helped his cause either. Him going a mile against these sort of horses at this point in his career, it might be an ask. He has obviously run well at Oaklawn.
He has. It's just a question of whether you think he's going to get back to, one of his really good races, which it just doesn't seem like he's been running lately. As you mentioned, they've tried to sprint him, so maybe it'll just be stretching back out. Will really work for him, Dan. He won that Rebel back in 2019. That's the last time this horse won a race. And I think, maybe many people will remember he got an absolutely perfect trip that day when he beat Improbable, who got the, one of the most ridiculous rides in the world.
Silver Prospector, another horse that's done very good work at Oaklawn Park. He won the Southwest back in 2020. And because he's been away so long, I think a lot of people forget that it seemed that Asmussen was getting him good in the early part of 2021. I don't think his Oaklawn handicap is as bad as it looks on paper. I mean, he made a very early move into the teeth of that pace, and that distance is just a little bit too far for him, especially against the likes of Silver State. I thought he ran okay last time out in the Steve Sexton Mile. Let's watch this race. Sloppy track at Lone Star Park, and it was a race that just didn't have a lot of pace for Silver Prospector. He's one of the few horses running on at the end of this race, and one of the also-rans, the 6 finisher, would come back to run second in the Grade 2 Foster at Churchill with a 97 buyer. He's a solid horse. Layoff could be concerning.
Yeah, the layoff, it would be the major concern for me. We'll see if he needs one off the bench here. I guess it's worth pointing out that it came off of a layoff and a pretty long one last October at Churchill. He ran very well that day. And I'm with you, Dan. I feel like his Oaklawn handicap 2-back is an underrated performance, and even his Razorback before that. I thought he ran really well that day. And I like him at these shorter distances. I think the 1 mile is actually maybe hits this horse right between the eyes.
You're right. He won off a 5.5-month layoff, 4.5 months layoff last year, and he goes out for a trainer that can certainly win one off the bench. Here's the formulator fact for Asmussen's Silver Prospector. Past couple of years, dirt routers, 4-year-olds and up, first off a layoff of 6 months to a year, horses shipping in 29% winners, 234 ROI, 10-1 on the morning line for a horse that has credentials, runs well fresh, and has tactical speed. Mucho completes the field. Let's watch Mucho's most recent start over a muddy track. This race going 6 furlongs. Mucho will be lining up for the 30th time in his career on Saturday. This will be the first time he is going a route of ground. This barn's really done a nice job with him, though, ever since they took him for $80,000 at the end of 2020.
Yeah, they've really had this horse in very good form. We'll see if he stretches out now, Dan. That's to me, it's the main question, because I feel like he's going to have to be better at this distance than he is sprinting if he's going to beat this field. And I don't know if that's a proposition I'd be willing to bet on, especially if he's 7-2. I mean, I don't think he's going to be 7-2. I think he's going to drift off that morning line. But if he's that short, boy, I think he's pretty tough to take.
He did beat an honest sprinter last time out. That Sir Alfred James would come back to win a stake over the Poly track at Turfway, but with a pretty big Buyer's speed figure. I believe it was a triple-digit number. Let's take a look at our top picks for the Saturday race today. Very competitive edition of the 5th season stakes. We have the same exact different order. Silver Prospector off the layoff. We saw the formulator fact. We know this horse runs well fresh. He handles the track. He's just an interesting play at the morning line, and I think you're going to get close to it at the very least.
Yeah, he was one of the horses who I felt like maybe wouldn't take that much money in here, but to me, he has plenty of races that would make him really tough, and I like him going this distance.
I'm happy when I asked you about Thomas Shelby being, if he's stakes class, do you think in the form he is right now, you'd answered in the affirmative, and I agree with that. I think he's going to use his speed. I think he's going to make the lead, and we'll see how good he is. I am concerned, as you are, that maybe he'll take money off the morning line, but I just love the form he's in right now. He's catching several horses in this race off layoffs. Maybe he'll be just a little bit sharper. 8124 for Mike, 1839 for me, and we'll see if the morning line favorite, the 5 Concert Tour, comes back firing. First time for Brad Cox as he makes his 4-year-old debut in the 5th season.